Benito Capote, and today we're doing a new deck profile. This is going to be the more in-depth version of the deck profile, and because this is the first time I'm going over, over this deck, I will explain card effects. So this deck profile will be a little bit longer. It's gonna basically I'm gonna say why I'm playing every card, why I'm not playing some cards, and what all the cards do. And because again, this is a new deck profile on my channel, I don't want to people don't understand what the deck does. And yeah, let's get started. So first, I'm gonna start off with oh, I forgot to say what we're doing. So we're doing a LIBROMANCER MIKANKO because I think it's a really cool deck. I think it's actually decent, and it's really fun. It's really fun, and it has some interactions that might catch people off guard, which is just really cool. So here we go. First, let's start off with the extra deck because I think it's the less important thing. The extra deck is sort of like, again, it's always utility, but most of your plays are going to come from your main deck. Usually, the most you're going to go into turn one from your extra deck is either a sold, either dump a Arclight, or go into IP just for extra fancy stuff, you know? That being said, let's go into it. So access code talker, I'm not going to go over what the staple cards do because I think people know that already, and if you do need that, then you can just look it up. But sorry to say that, but it sounds kind of mean, but I feel like the newer cards need more explanation than the other cards, and especially the main deck cards. So access code talker, you use this to clear boards, and it's really easy to go into. So on turn 3, you can just clear boards and go over for TK. Appaloosa, you go off into IP from IP, sorry, most of the time, and it's just a really good option. Beatrice, you play level 6 agent as well as the Doom Broker and Diviner of the Herald. So you can go into Beatrice and dump a fairy and to get it back, or dump anything to get it back. But again, I think this is a flex spot. If you want to take something else, I think Beatrice is one of the ones to take out. I think it's not as useful in my build, at least. I hardly go into it and usually just banish it with prosperity. Then we have 2 Herald with Herald of the Arclight. The Herald of the Arclight you basically dump from Diviner and then search any ritual monster, which is really useful in this deck because it lives and runs off of ritual monsters, which is like, it's a ritual monster deck. Then Entis, you play one of this because if you need to get rid of a problem card such as a Floodgate, you just summon Diviner, dump this. It still goes to level 6 because it's a level 4, which is important, and you can pop a card, right? Then this is supposed to be Baron, Baron de Fleur. I don't have a Baron de Fleur because it's $100, and I've just been borrowing it from a friend, and I just had to give it back because it's an expensive card. But anyway, what this does is I'll explain all the effects in case you guys don't know. So the first effect is once on the field during your main phase, you can pop a card. Well, it's an addition effect during your main phase. You can pop a card your opponent controls. Then while it's on the field, while it's on the field, you can omni negate a card and destroy it. Then the other effect is, and the really cool effect, is that during any standby phase, you can put it back into the extra deck and then summon a card from your graveyard that is level 9 or lower. So it's any of the Libromancer cards, any of the ritual, the ritual monsters that have already been ritual summoned, any of the diviners if you want to go into Baron again, or if you don't have a diviner in hand and want to go into Baron again, or just dump another card and search another thing. So it's really good in this deck because of that recursion. Then we have one Dark. Dark is actually harder to go into. I was actually going to switch this out for Phoenix, but then I realized Dark is really good to go into off of like IP and then go into steal something from the link 2 from the graveyard and then go into Avermax, right? You can use it off Souls and then another maybe another Dark monster, right? Then we have Zeus because you do play the Beatrice and another Xyz, which can be useful. Isolde, you play a lot of equip spells, and it's really useful, especially to get an equip spell that you really want into the graveyard, because Uhime equips from the graveyard. Then IP Masquerena, this is insane. It's really good in the deck. It's really good in any deck, really, so like I don't see why you wouldn't play it. Then Avermax, this is sort of like a questionable thing that I've been playing, but one thing that I've noticed is that Kashtira and Branded, and actually not Branded. Branded has a pretty easy time of dealing with this card because Mirror Jade doesn't target. But what I've noticed is that Kashtira in particular has a very hard time outing something like Dragoon, which is untargetable and can't be destroyed, which is this card when made with IP, and it gets really big, right? So it's hard for Kashtira to out. Especially when it's made with IP, and it's just a really easy thing you can do, and it's just kind of useful. Then we have Photon Strike Bouncer. This is my XC of choice. I mean, Beatrice is in there, but she's kind of just there. Photon Strike Bouncer, he has a pretty high attack, 27, which is why I like making him to go into Zeus if I need to. But also one thing that something that helps is that he is a monster negate, right? So if you do need to go in and you fear like a monster negate, you can just go into this, negate their effect, and go in anyway, and then go into Zeus, right? Then we have Underworld Goddess Closed World, which is important in this format because Branded is starting to play Dragoon, and Pearly is going to be in the format, I think, at least as a rogue deck, which is hard to deal with if you don't have this card. And a lot of people aren't expecting you to play this card unless they already know they're playing you. But like if you go to regionals or something, they're not expecting you to play this, or they might be expecting you to play other stuff. But also, Naturia Pearly, which I think is the best version of Pearly, has the Naturia Beast on the field, right? So you can't activate spell cards, which in this deck isn't the worst because you have the Ohime stuff, and the Ohime stuff equips from Grave and it doesn't like activate, so it's pretty good to go against Naturia Beast and like maybe steal it, but Closed World is just good to get rid of those problem cards, right? And then Unicorn to be able to go into Access Code, and that's really why it's there. That's really all the reason it's there. Then let's go into the main deck. The main deck I've worked hard on, and I think it's really good. I think it's really fun. It is 44 cards, but I think that's really okay in this deck because half the deck searches the other half of the deck, and you've got Prosperity in there, so it's basically only like 30 or 41 cards, and it's like whatever. But if you want to cut it down, I'll tell you the options that you can cut it down. The first one that I think is really optional is Ronald. He's good if you have the two Mikanko monsters on the field and you want to extend more and go into another Link monster, maybe go into Avermax the first turn. But honestly, like summoning this is good because you get the equip spell that you want because you send it off sold and then just summon it. But I think it's not one of the better parts of the deck, if that makes sense. But what he does is that when he's special summoned, you can get an equip spell back from your graveyard, which is good. Then we have 3 Diviner of the Herald. So this card is really good because it becomes level 6. It searches your ritual monster by dumping the extra deck, like I said. And it's a tuner, so then you can go into Baron, which is your main way of going to Baron is this and Fire, which is really cool. Then we have 3 Geek Boy. This is your E-Tele target as well as like your main way to get into your Libromancer ritual monsters, which I think is really important because one of the ritual monsters gets you an Omnigate. The other one's a really good way of going for OTK. So and also the field spell that it searches is a Rhoda, which is just an extra monster, which is good. Then we have Libromancer Agent. I only play one of him because I found out he was an Earth and I didn't know that before. I was hard cheating for a couple of weeks at locals, but anyway. I think he's really good, but I don't think he's one of the main parts of the deck anymore, especially with the Mikanko stuff. I think he's sort of slow. He's good to get back advantage, and like summoning him back off intervention is really good because you can just get the intervention back, but I don't think you need more than one, especially now that especially because he doesn't lose to Bystials and because he's just not necessary as a 2 of, I think. Then this one I only have 2 of, but I would play him at 3 if I could, because he's a really good card. I just don't have the 3rd one, but I recommend playing 3 of this card and taking maybe the Ronaldo out. This one, just like I forgot to say, all the Libromancer monsters, you can reveal a ritual monster in your hand to special summon them, and when they're special summoned, they get an effect, except Agent. Agent gets an effect while he's on the field, to bring back a card from the graveyard. Then Fire, what he does when he is special summoned is he searches for a Libromancer monster. Then we have 2 Magician Souls. I only play 2 Magician Souls and 2 Illusion of Chaos because I think there's enough ritual monsters in the deck, and I think that when I end up breaking on Souls, I'd really rather have like just a Libromancer monster or a Mikanko monster to do anything with, right? Because even if you open one half of the deck, that's usually enough. But with Souls, it's kind of like he's just something you want to search off to get something extra, right? So I don't want to see 3 of him. I don't want to see 2 of him in my opening hand because that's rough. Then we have the Mikanko monsters, main deck monsters that aren't rituals. I'm only playing two of them. One of them is Hari, one of them is Nini. So I'll explain what they do. Hari, when she is equipped with an equip spell, you can search for another equip spell from your deck, which is really good because a lot of the equip spells in this deck are really powerful. Then Nini, when she is equipped with an equip spell during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can take control of one of your opponent's monsters by targeting it, which is just, it's a stat steal. That's pretty good. It's like a quick effect big eye. Also, the Mikanko monsters all have the effect that when they are equipped with an equipped spell, or these two, when they're equipped with an equipped spell, you take no battle damage, and your opponent takes all the battle damage you take. So that's really cool because it's just an easy way to get a little bit of extra damage if your opponent has a big monster on board. Say they end on a 5300 access code, and then you just go into this thing and attack, and you're like, hey! I've actually stolen a couple of games off friends that way, and it's been really funny. And then for the ritual monsters in the deck, we're playing two Benten. Benten, when she's sent to the graveyard, she searches you any fairy monster, which equals Ohime, or Diviner if you need a starter, or just the end boss, right? Then two Illusion of Chaos to get because you can reveal him and then get souls off of him and get a few draws, which is just really good overall. But I've been finding that he's not as important as he was in the old Libromancer builds. I think I would honestly cut the Illusion of Chaos and the Souls to 1 if I really needed space. Maybe even 0 if you don't like them in the deck. I've just found that they aren't the best in the deck, as like they aren't as good as they used to be because you're not hounding for that advantage, right? You already generate enough advantage with the Libromancer and Mikanko stuff, and a lot of the cards they like you can recycle them from graveyard. You can like use them again next turn by bouncing them. It's just really good. Then we have the two Libromancer ritual monsters, which is Fireburst and Doombroker. Doombroker, what he does is if he's made with a material on the field, then he can attack directly. When he deals battle damage, you can shuffle back by targeting a monster your opponent controls. And Fire Burst, what he does is when he's made on the with a monster on the field, he does double battle damage. And as a blanket effect, he can attack two monsters, which is just really useful for clearing boards. And then Doombroker, one thing that I forgot to say is that as an activated effect, he can set a Libromancer trap from deck to field. So it can't be ashed, which is cool. Then we have what makes the deck go round, in my opinion, Ohime the Manifest Mikanko. So what this card does is, while she's in your hand, you can reveal her to search a Mikanko card and then discard a card from your hand, which the discard is rough, but with the Libromancer stuff, it doesn't always matter. Especially when you're just discarding another equip spell, which you can equip from the graveyard, right? While it's on the field, as a quick effect during yours or your opponent's turn, you can target a equip spell in your graveyard and equip it to your opponent's or to any monster on the field that is an appropriate target. Now, what is interesting about its effect is if you've ever played with Amazement, you know that these type of effects that don't target, because this card doesn't target, means that you can equip spells to monsters that have targeting protection. For example, Dragoon, which is really popular in the format, you can literally, if they say they can't be targeted, right? And a lot of people are going to think that the equip spell is target. So you're going to activate this effect and equip it with the Snatch Steal in the deck, which I'm going to go over later, and that's steal your Dragoon. It's really cool, especially since most of the time you save this for the end of your combo, and a lot of people don't know what this deck does. So that's going to win you a lot of games. And of the equip spells in this deck are kind of silly, going first or going second. Then for the equip spells, we have one Mikanko Fire Dance. This one is a special summon a Mikanko monster, so either Hari or Nini from your hand or graveyard, which is really cool because it triggers Hari when it summons because it's equipped with an equip spell, and you can search for another one. Then Mikanko Purification Dance. This one, what it does is you can equip it to your monster, and when your opponent special summons a monster, it makes it so you can bounce one of those special summon monsters and one of your monsters, which is really good for gaining back your ritual monsters that you want to protect to be able to go into the Libromancer stuff later in the turn. And also all the equip spells make it so that your Mikanko monsters can't be destroyed by card effects, which is also really good. And then Mikanko Water Breast. What it does is I only play one of it because you can dump it and it's only really good. it's good, but not always the best. Only while you have like one of the two in deck. What it does is you can equip it to a monster, and when it's equipped to a monster, you can special summon a Mikanko monster from your deck, and then equip it to that monster, which triggers their effects, which is again really cool. Then I play 2 of the Mikanko Reflection Rondo. You can cut this down to 1 if you really want to, but I don't think that's smart because it can be activated from hand as well as with the Ohime in 1 turn. It is once per turn, but equipping it with Ohime doesn't count as activating it, right? So what I like to do is my second turn, or if I'm going second, I like to dump 1, summon Ohime, activate 1 from hand, and steal 1 of their monsters, and then activate the Ohime effect to steal 1 of their other monsters, right? And it's just really good, because taking 2 of your opponent's monsters and being able to use their effects is really cool. But that, yeah, it's just really cool. I really like it. I think it's really fun. Then we have the Libromancer First Appearance. What this does is when it's activated, you can search for a Libromancer monster, or I think card. I don't know. Libromancer card. And no, it is Libromancer monster. And then while it's on the field, you can activate it to ritual summon a Libromancer monster. Then we have the Great Mikanko Ceremony. I see a lot of people playing 2 or 1 of this card. I like playing 3 because I feel like being able to get Ohime on the field is really game determinative, especially if you're like in the grind game, especially because this card is so good. So what it does is when you activate it, you can special summon a Mikanko monster ignoring its summoning conditions, banish it from grave to send an equip spell from a deck to grave, which is like you get any of the equip spells that you want. But the most important part is being able to summon the Mikanko without tributing monsters, right? Because it is a pretty high level monster, and the Kagura, which is the way to ritual summon, is good, but only going second really, which is like what the main deck without Libromancer aims to do. But Mikanko, it basically cheats out, and then you get it back at the end of your opponent's turn, which is really important because then you can search for another equip spell or use the Libromancer cards again, right? It always ensures that you have a monster in hand to be able to do that. And playing 3, I found that in the long games, I've really wanted a third one. Not even just the long games, because you basically doing it every turn, and playing 3 ensures that you can go for longer than what your opponent expects, because most people play 1, maybe 2, but I like 3 because I think it's just really good. Ohime is an insane card, and equipping a Snatch Steal every turn seems kind of good. Then we play 3 Pot of Prosperity to find any of the starters or any of the cards that you need to find. 3 Emergency Teleport to be able to summon what's-his-face, Geek Boy. 3 Preparation of Rites to be able to get any ritual monsters that you need, and 1 Libromancer Intervention. For the Omni Negate. It's an Omni Negate by bouncing a Libromancer ritual monster that you control, and then you have to special summon a Libromancer monster from your hand or graveyard. Anyway, that is the deck. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope that it helped someone maybe in deck building, maybe seeing like, oh, that's a cool idea, maybe I'll try it out. And if you guys disagree with anything, please let me know in the comments, or maybe in the Discord if you want to join. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, maybe subscribe, and if you want, ring the notification bell for more videos. And I'll see you guys later. I hope you have a great day. So, little Ava here has decided that her new favorite spot is my underwear drawer, which she opens up by standing there on the bed, and then she just sits there and stares at me while I play video games. So this is my life now.